Okay. Sorry if I have an echo here. Um, Let me see if I can fix that.
Papa nada.
Okay, there we go. So that was kind of weird, but I think everything should be set up now. I did miss a fair bit of that while I was setting everything up, so sorry for not giving commentary during all of that. But judging off the trackers, it looks like this has been a pretty big start in terms of spells. Already having all 3 level 1 spells. Looks like Mick is headed towards Baldur's Shell with those, while DFT just took down Brooding Malek. And also with that, we'll have both racers on the board, going column to column mismatch. Let's see, some interesting choices. Mick's side of the board is little item dependent, with 2 claw blocked goals and a dream nail goal. DFT's side is maybe a little less dependent, but Nail 3 is going to be an extremely long goal. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this unfolds. The middle column especially only has one decent guaranteed goal, so Dreamdale will definitely be big in this, as will who takes the initiative on some of these longer goals. Like possibly the Colosseum, getting the Arcane Egg and stuff like that. Of course, we don't even know whether this is a Claw or a Wingsuit yet, so a lot of that is still to be determined. DFT putting that dive to good use. Mick using Race to kill Grossmother. One of the interesting things about a start like this is that you have a lot of different ways in which you can do combat, and it's always interesting to see how the runners adjust to that. Let me double check on that. Yeah, that looks right. Okay, so I missed this before, but Salubra actually does have Flute Nest. That's going to be really important because whoever's able to mark that goal will have a huge advantage considering how daunting tracking down Dreamgate, fighting Marvu, longer goals like that might be. Let's see, I missed what was at Baldur Shell. I don't think it was anything terribly important. Ooh, this could be interesting. Are we going to see all this Shade Skip from Mick? That is a setup. But he's gonna have to reset this. Yep, unfortunately, this is a fairly precise skip, and if you try and rush Shanks along, it tends to go horribly wrong. And so, what your normal setup is, will be you grab the Shade's attention, you come back over by the door, you do a full jump 3 times in a row before taking damage off the Shade, parrying its attack, and then pogoing it twice with Fireball cancels to stall in the air and gain enough height to get to resting ground. This is a very complicated trick which has a lot happening all at once. The only major category which doesn't, to my knowledge, is True End MMG. And it is also sort of interesting to see him doing it right now because he does have dash and dive. Dash makes Crystal Peak Dark Room much easier. There's a very consistent strat for it. And dive negates the advantage of Shade Skip and opening the shortcut to lower resting grounds. But anyways, here's hoping he's able to get it soon. Meanwhile, DFT takes down Hornet. And in general is moving through his green path checks at a nice pace. Let's see. I do have to wonder what Mick is going for if... Oh, and he does get it, thankfully. Yeah, I don't see any early goals he's going to be able to get heading this way without Mantis Scholar Monarch Wings, so I can only assume he wants to check the 3 items that are accessible, the 2 essence items, and then probably continue on with the drip and the fungal wastes. Oops. Sorry for the jostling around there. DFTzzz gonna check thorns for us. Just Geo, and not much of it either. So it's kind of a... I want to say it's a slower seed to unfold. I mean, the spells are very nice, but only having dash as a movement ability now does kind of get on your nerves a little because fungal waste tends to be a lot slower if you don't have verticality, and that is where both of these runners will probably be headed. Quick Slash, then Long Nail at the Dreamgate location. Mark of Pride. That is an interesting pair. Fortunately, that duo is not on the card today. That would be extremely painful. But maybe not the worst to have both of them there, since you would know going for the essence grind for one, you'd get the other along the way. We are going to get a massive Moss Charger fight from DFT. Oh, Vanilla Dream Shield. I guess that's a meme of some sort. Oh, is Mickely not going to check the resting grounds chest? Maybe he's forgotten that he has dive. That is accessible with dive as your only item. So, and that's a really fast check right now for him. Probably be kicking himself once he realizes he forgot it. Oh, you are absolutely right. I misread that. I saw the 2 circles the way they are, and I thought I saw a 3rd one in the middle, but that is absolutely correct. In fact, Mick is about to realize dive is available at Sly, and buy it there, probably. Let's see, is Krebsog on the card? No, it isn't. Okay. Okay, so now that he's found that, I would not at all be surprised to see a stag back to resting grounds for that. Buying a rancid egg. He doesn't have a simple key yet. He can't afford a simple key yet, but that means that when he does have a simple key and he wants to kill Gigi, wants to kill his shade in Gigi's hut, there is no chance he will wander in there without a rancid egg now. A mistake that tends to happen to the best of us. Meanwhile, DFT being a slightly sketchy fog canyon. Definitely a place where things can go wrong very quickly. Between the acid baths, the infection grenades, and all the other terrible, terrible things in those two rooms. Glowing Boom. Definitely not what Mick wanted to find for this investment, but the nice thing is that this will give him a chance to continue on, open King Station, grab a few relics. I don't expect to see him make the walk all the way to Lem right now, but that would be an opportunity if he feels like he wants to go ahead and get the GG goal as soon as possible. He does also have access to Fluke Farm, in theory. It would be a pretty bad idea to do GG at this stage without knowing absolutely for sure that Fluke Farm won't be required for vertical progression. Since that would be a very fast way to hardlock the seed. Okay, DFT is going to continue. Not DFT. Mickely is going to continue on in City of Tears. Definitely an annoying area to navigate without Mantis Claw or Monarch Wings, but it can be handy to go ahead and get that early Geo advantage. This way, if his next plan is to go visit Leg Eater, he'll know for sure that he'll be able to buy whatever items Leg Eater has. Speaking of which, DFT will be able to show us those right now. We're going to see just Fragile Heart. I'm kind of surprised DFT didn't buy that because that is one of the best charms in the game. DFT has a lot of Geo and not a lot of charms at the moment, so that'd be a good one to just go ahead, grab, equip. You can get a lot of mileage out of it. Also makes shade skips easier, which is really nice in Rando. But with just one item at Leg Eater, that's not going to be huge in the outcome of this race. I don't think either runner will be tempted to revisit there. Okay, DFT is going to open this shortcut here, save the grub too. Both very defensible decisions. The nice thing about this shortcut is there are 2 items locked behind Mantis Lords. You're not going to see either of them unless you find a vertical movement upgrade. He doesn't have one right now. So he very likely will want to come back here, and that will make it faster by minutes, probably. It seems worth noting that Mick is working himself up to a very hefty geototal. He's being careful here to steer clear of the sell all option. He will want to leave the option of 5 Wanderers Journals open, even though he already has Fluke Nest in reserve. And it's decided this is going to be a wing seed. That could be a little rough on our runners because there are a number of claw-blocked goals. Pale Lurker and Grim Child and a Militia in DFT's camp. Elderbug, Stag Nest, and 5 ZOT grubs on mix. So 3 goals for each that we would normally understand to be claw blocked. Though there are certain very difficult workarounds to that, which I don't expect to see in the race. Of course, the other unfortunate thing about that claw position, or wings position, is that it's going to be a little bit challenging to check Mark of Pride at the moment. It does look like DFT is going to make a try for it. You'll just need to get that Mantis Pogo, and yeah. Meanwhile, Mick is entering resting grounds. We'll see if he decides that Fragile Heart is in his interest. Oh, that's interesting. Did Mick also buy Quick Slash? That seems very risky because with that he now has given himself 2 reserve goals. It would really suck if, you know, he finds Descending Dark or something to that effect and gets locked out of a valuable goal at this stage. Meanwhile, DFT looks to be having a nice and clean Mantis Lord fight. Going for the race strats for this. Could be a little difficult to use properly since their hitboxes tend to be very low to the ground. But it will be the most damaging spell in his arsenal at the moment. Okay, so with that boss down, we should see DFT make his way back there from Queen Station to try and get the 2 items that he's unlocked. Oh, not from Queen Station, I missed it. He benched right by Dashmaster. Kind of an awkward bench to pick, in my opinion. It's not much closer than Queen Station, and I'm worried that he thinks that he'll be able to enter Deep Nest from this entrance to get Tram Pass. It is not possible, even with the Shade Skip, to enter Deep Nest from the Mantis Lord's entrance without Mantis Claw. Okay. Meanwhile, Mick gets his wings. Definitely be glad to see that no Fluke Farm is off the table for early required progression. Alright. The Geo chest contained Dashmaster, not on the card. Still a very nice charm. Mark of Pride, Isma's Tear. That does in fact unlock both Shape of Un and Isma's Tear at the moment, because they do have the necessary means to cross through the Spike Tunnel with Dash and Vengeful Spirit. Meanwhile, Mickely not interested in Mantis Lords at the moment, so DFT is going to maintain the advantage with this Mystere. And DFT does know that the Deep Nest entrance this way is a no-go. He's going to make his way out of here. Kind of headed the long way around. So it's kind of unfortunate because it means that the play he made earlier to open the shortcut back to Queen Station was time wasted. He's going to be backtracking that same way now. But we make decisions and we go back on them, and you sometimes second guess yourself in randomizer. Meanwhile, Mick is gunning for Broken Vessel now that he has the wings he needs to get there. Definitely a great call, because this is going to unlock 3 consecutive goals for him if he can get it done before DFT gets back to resting grounds. Let's see, as it is, I'm not sure Mick can make it as long as DFT keeps up the hustle here. It should be a very straightforward Shade Skip. Oh, but DFT opts to check Shape of Un first. That's going to steer him away from Quick Slash, and possibly give Mick the time he needs to defeat this boss. Meanwhile, Lifeblood Heart is Mick's charm of choice for this Broken Vessel fight. He's going to leave Quick Slash at the bench. And Fluke Nest, for that matter. Kinda curious, because Fluke Nest would be bringing some really good damage even after the nerf. Like, it would still do well over double base Vengeful Spirit's damage. But Lifeblood Heart is also nice because the Maulurks are very annoying, and, well, as you can see, he's already taken 2 damage here. Whoa, you gonna kill that? Interesting decision by Mick to kill this Maulurk here. He had an opportunity to not have to do that with a Bogo. And he misses the Shadow Creeper cycle. What I was going to say before I saw that is the other advantage to making this early Broken Vessel play is afterwards you can backtrack for the simple key that's out here. And that way he won't have to buy a simple key to visit Gigi. It's always nice to keep the 900 Geo. Meanwhile, DFT finds Shade Soul, not on the card, but an excellent item which will save him a lot of time in the grand scheme of things. But DFT is going to head back to Deep Nest, and I think that all but locks in those 3 goals for Mick, assuming no deaths here. Oh, I say he's going to Deep Nest, but he may be going to Howling Wraiths first. That does appear to be his call, so we'll find out what's there right about the same time as we find out what's at Monarch Wings. Don't upslash that one, you can pogo on it. Small movement optimization to get up this room in Fungal Waste a bit faster. Meanwhile, that jellyfish is not so kind to being pogoed on. Yes, this has been a really nice early play by Mick. This 4-to-1 advantage will be absolutely huge for him. And he is going to backtrack for the simple key. Yeah, just Geo at Monarch Wings, but still a fair amount of it. Enough that Mick could very well end up buying Lantern now, if he feels so inclined. Probably not an immediate priority, given his item set and where I expect he'll be going, but nice to have the option on the table. Meanwhile, we see some very nice Stash Master utilization by DFT, making his way towards that brace pickup. There's a quick slash Shadow Mech. Interesting to see him entering Crossroads this way. Yes. He is going to go ahead and claim that GG goal now. Clear a path so he can, hopefully grab something in column 4, make his way towards 5 Wanderer's Journals. Okay, and now finally, DFT sets his eyes probably on Resting Grounds, though Crystal Peak and Glowing Womb are also in the picture. He does head up. This is the Crystal Peak play, it looks like, or at least a grub. Alright, Mick heads to Resting Grounds. We're going to see a Soul Eater check for sure. He can grab a Wanderer's Journal while he's there. And we'll see if he tries to make for a Shade Skip over to the Delicate Flower. I believe that should be possible, not too difficult, and, you know, it'll mean that he'll be able to stop focusing on column 5 for quite a bit of time. Alright, DFT having just a little bit of trouble, but he makes it to the checkpoint within the spike tunnel, and should be able to finish it out quickly from here. Just needs to stop trying to cut the corner. Yep, makes it through, heals, all is well. Mick, meanwhile, not looking to make a Shade Skip to Delicate Flower play at this point. Just wanted the item check, and he'll be moving on without a Abyss Shriek. Abyss Shriek can be a double-edged sword in Randomizer. It is definitely an extremely powerful spell, but it does carry the burden of being extremely hard to use, and it leaves you very vulnerable while you use it. So, a lot of times people feel like they have to use Abyss Shriek, and it gets them into trouble as a result. And, oof, that was a slightly painful spike tunnel for Mick, getting almost to the end and then hitting the spikes, but he does get it on the second try. And a very rough death in Crystal Peak for DFT. He will have to redo the entire spike tunnel to get back there, which is never fun. Soul Catcher did not travel too far this seed. Not a great charm, definitely not what Mick wanted to find. In fact, I think at this stage, he really wants to find Shade Cloak, Great Slasher, Mantis Claw. Those are the 3 items which will let him make progress in that column 4. Which he'll really need if he wants to continue covering the board. DFT, meanwhile, is in a really rough place. He has to find Mantis Claw to get through column 2 now. The only other option is Dream Nail to get 500 Essence, but he cannot win the card with just 2 goals in that column at this point, I would imagine. Mick will be taking one of the goals in column 1 sooner or later. Okay, are we going to see a great... Nope, not a deep focus play. He's going to go off of the scenery, make his way up to the Shopkeeper's Key. see. So yeah, of course right now, Mick is right on DFT's tail after that death, which is not good news for DFT because, well, I guess Mick doesn't necessarily have an absolute advantage in number of checks. Mick has the advantage of a lot of City of Tears progress, as well as Monarch Wings, against DFT having, oh, and Glowing Womb, against DFT having the 2 checks at Mantis Lords, Howling Wraiths, and Shape of Autumn. Okay, but Mick will kill Crystal Guardian. Get himself a nice amount of Geo while he does so. And a Venge which he can use. Interesting by DFT, I hope he knows that this chest is inaccessible without Mantis Claw. If he's come all the way down here just to get it. Okay, he does know not to check the chest. He's going to make his way towards Descending Dark. Braving the Dark Room in the process. Meanwhile, Mick goes back down to head towards Deep Focus. Oh, DFT having a rough time getting trolled by those enemies in there. It's in a lot of danger of taking a death right now. And he's considering his options, decides he does not want to walk back here to retrieve his shade. He opts to save and quit on 1 HP. Ooh. Mick down to just 2 HP here. He takes another hit down to 1. He can no longer do a deboost strat, but he makes it. The pixel to spare. We'll find out what's at Deep Focus. A very difficult item to get to. Shade Cloak. Shade Cloak could be huge. I don't want to read too deeply, but if I were Mick, I would be gunning towards Hornet 2 right now. Trying to get that Arcane Head goal. And afterwards, 5 Wanderer's Journals. Nick, on the other hand, says, no, Shade Cloak is not enough for me. I want to find Mantis Claw. I think it's at Crystal Heart. This is a very slow check, and relatively difficult too, but he is going to go for it anyways. He's in the area. It'll never be faster than now. Meanwhile, DFT is finally going to make his way to Resting Ground. Probably going to be hitting himself when he finds that quick slash. Going for that, a really neat background pogo to get up to that grub in the Crystal Heart Room. Really nice to see. Oh, but gets trolled a bit by the shade there. Really rough. Hits the spikes. That is going to cost him having to reset this shade skip. This is one of the places I had in mind when I mentioned back at Leg Eater that Fragile Heart is not a charm you want to pass up on Rando when it's available early and cheap. That would have given him a third hit on the Shade, which would have allowed him a much easier time on the Shade skip. Possibly would have prevented that spike hit. Ooh! And the Shade clips the spike. Mick went just a little too high too early, and the Shade kills himself. He is going to go for this a third time. Yes, a good setup for it. Once you have this bench, it doesn't take very long to reset. So he really has kind of put himself where he has no option but to keep going until he gets it. So hopefully this one will be the successful attempt. Meanwhile, DFT... Oh! Nick just a pixel too low. And I think that Mick is going to call it with that. He's saying 3 tries is as much as I'm willing to give this. Ooh. Sorry about that. Time to look elsewhere. Right now, Abyss really has to be calling Mick's name. He has Wraiths to check the Shriek spot, Shade Cloak to check the Shade Cloak spot, and a bingo goal down there. I mean, it doesn't get much more straightforward than that. I expect we'll see a D-Dark play here, followed by him making his way towards the Resting Ground Stag after that. Well, I'd stag to King Station and try and start making progress on this card again. This card does not have to be blocked by Mantis Claw. Really aren't that many goals actually, which are claw blocked. I do believe Dream Nail will be required. Maybe not necessarily, but just assuming that both runners keep it competitive. I don't think 13 goals without Dream Nail is really realistic, but Claw's only giving, 6 goals on here. Just Force Room at Descending Dark, so more trash. Not really seeing the things he wants to see right now. Aside from, of course, the Shade Cloak find. Alright, this is the moment of truth. What is Nick's routing call? Also the moment of truth for DFT. I kind of expect to see him head towards Soul Sanctum, but we'll kind of have to wait and see. Also, interesting to note, I might have missed it, but I don't think either runner have checked Sly after getting Shopkeeper's Key. That's kind of a big, a big thing right now. Multiple items unaccounted for. But yeah, Mick is going to head after that King's Brand, I believe. Meanwhile, DFT passing on Soul Sanctum for the moment. He might be trying to get some Geo before buying Lantern and heading into Deep Nest. Okay, no, he is going to head on up. Probably for a Soul Sanctum play. He just wanted to open the shortcut first. DFT just hit short from killing this guard through the wall. Oh, that's interesting to see. Mick sees High Flood. He feels tempted by it and ends up buying it for 800 Geo from Dash Slash. High Flood is a very nice luxury charm. It makes the Hive check much easier by making the enemies there passive. It also makes a lot of boss fights safer. Since the passive healing is actually surprisingly useful in a racing environment. Strange as that might sound to people who run the game. Okay, we're going to see Quick Slash here in just a moment from Mick. That is Descending Dark. That is a goal he wants, but he cannot mark yet. It's kind of something, too, that's going to bear in his mind a little, because if he does... well, I was going to say if he comes across another item, he'll have a full preserve again, but the only other randomized goal on the card is Great Slash in Dreamgate. He doesn't have Dream Mail yet, so I don't think he's too worried about Dreamgate suddenly showing up and ruining his day. Mick is not setting this up correctly. The Primal Aspid AI moves away from you when it's in close range. So the easiest way to get it up there is to move to the right of it. That pushes it left and up, and then you get a quick pogo. And he does eventually do exactly that, gets up there. Meanwhile, DFT about to bench here and show us what's back at Shade Soul. Shade Soul being one of those items that can be kind of annoying to get back to. It's in an awkward place, it requires a trip to Crystal Peak beforehand. It's generally not a desirable. Oh wait, my bad. Like I mentioned earlier, neither of the runners visited Sly after Shopkeeper's Key. So even though DFT is benching there, that bench will be useless to him because he does not have the Elegant Key yet. Probably his plan here, he's going to visit Lem, save quit, and then probably open City Storeroom Stag, which is kind of slow and out of the way. Not a huge fan of this decision. When he had the Geo to make his shopping trip before stagging to King Station in the first place. Or, I don't know if he... open the stack at King Station, but he certainly could have opened the one at Resting Rooms. DFT also has his eye set on that 5 Wanderer's Journal roll, so that's why we're going to see this very slow sell sequence, being careful to avoid the sell all button. So now DFT is absolutely loaded. I mean, there's just absolutely no way he doesn't go on to make a Lantern play after this. It's the only possible explanation for that much geo. Unfortunately, Lantern isn't very useful this seed. The only Darkroom goal on here is Galleon. Every other goal doesn't require Darkrooms. Trampass doesn't require Darkrooms. Hot Springs don't require Darkrooms. It's possible that Mantis Claw is hiding out over by Weaver Song, but not super likely. Yeah, the City Storerooms play is very curious. It's a bad stag station, all things considered. When you're here, you really want to make the Soul Sanctum play once and get out. Like, you're not coming back. The hot springs? So there are 4 hot springs. The one in Forgotten Crossroads, the one in Deep Nest, of course. Then there's one in City of Tears, which is behind the Simple Key door on the East City of Tears area. And there's one in Coliseum, which is in the lower right area. Off the top of my head, I don't believe any of them are claw blocked. The only one that's possibly claw blocked is City of Tears, and I'd say I'm 90% sure I've gotten that before with wings. Okay, Shaman Stone was there, but nothing really good out of Shopkeeper's Key. So, kind of a letdown for this seed. Meanwhile, Mick did get his King's Brand. He's making his way out of Kingdom's Edge. Be heading down to the Abyss shortly, I imagine. Okay, so DFT finished a shopping spree. He's back to his Soul Sanctum bench. He's going to show us what's at Shade Soul. A place which Mick probably won't get back to for, I guess, 10-20 minutes. Let's see, I didn't put up a timer, but I believe this has been going for about an hour or so. The two of them started without telling me, while I was still having audio troubles, so I was a little caught off guard. Very hurt, too. What a mean thing to do. Nail Master's Glory, that is trash. Yeah, like, right now, DFT needs to find, like, he needs to find everything, right? He needs Dream Nail, Dream Gate, and Mantis Claw to be the next 3 items in Soul Sanctum here. Because Mick is on his way to a huge goal advantage once he gets this Arcane Egg. Like, right now the score is 5-1. Yeah, we're on our way to 8-1 soon. Unless DFT can turn this around. And as I was saying before, this really isn't the kind of card where you have the luxury of knowing that as long as you find... Ooh, that was a questionable decision by DFT trying to shriek the Soul Twister. Led to a death. A fairly costly time loss. But anyways, what I was going to say, this is not the kind of seed where you can just check items, find Mantis Claw before your opponent and win. There aren't enough blocked goals. As Mick continues to take quick goals like this, he's going to build a lead to where he won't need Mantis Claw to finish. He'll be able to finish with Dream Nail. That is my prediction, at least. Meanwhile, DFT not too hurt by his death since he did have that close by bench. Mick, moving quickly through the abyss. Just going to keep on gunning for that Shakeload spot and the Arcane Egg with it. I didn't catch what he got from Abyss Shriek. He might not have even checked it. Or if he did, it was Geo. Either way, this is a more important spot. He wants the 3 bingo goals at stake. Since certainly 3 bingo goals way more important than items at this stage. And without knowing where DFT is, he probably wants to make sure he's able to snipe that that Descending Dark goal, since Descending Dark wasn't exactly hidden. Okay. So Spell Twister, complete garbage. Meanwhile, the rich get richer. DFT and Mickely finds Crystal Heart. This seed is getting decided very quickly right now. Yeah, Crystal Heart, not a great progression item. Really not even an extremely fast movement item, especially without Mantis Claw, but a very nice luxury nonetheless, and better than almost all charms would be by comparison. Okay, so DFT is on his last legs now. He needs to jump a little higher to spawn this. Yep, there he goes. Dash Slash. Dash Slash simply not relevant after the Godmaster nerfs. So, definitely painful for DFT. Also of note, I think it will be very ironic if the outcome of this seed is that Mantis Claw, Dream Nail, other valuable items end up being in Deep Nest, because DFT had a really strong incentive to go there. And he has taken a route which has really avoided it at all costs. Like, Crystal Peak into Soul Sanctum is not the kind of play I would imagine in this seed, given his card position. It just doesn't have good synergies. So, for him to get screwed on the item front too is... well, it's playing out to be a nightmare situation for him. Like, this could very well end up being a blowout because he no longer has any reasonable goals. When would I commit to Deep Nest? Well, I guess in my mind, DFT has no good goals in his second column rather. Whereas he has 2 Deep Nest goals in his first column, Hot Springs and Trampas, and that's certainly not the most efficient route for item checking, but look at Mick's position right now. Like, he's headed towards Soul Sanctum right now, but if Mick wanted to, he could very easily make a fast Deep Nest check and snipe that Trampas goal, and that would be utterly devastating to DFT. Like, Trampas is a must-keep goal. Yeah, I'm not just trying to say that Mick is dominant. Like, obviously, he's built up a good lead for himself. The problem is that DFT is sort of leaving behind important goals that he needs to get here in order to have a chance of winning. Uh-oh. Whoops, sorry about the frame drops there. I'm not sure if that's on my end or DFT's. I assume DFT because Mick is still super smooth, but what can you do? Yeah, I definitely don't want to say that the current card position is all a consequence of poor routing. Like, DFT got hurt pretty badly by the fact that Ismasteer has not been useful to him so far, and that Resting Grounds was loaded from the perspective of the bingo card. Like, Mick's lead could very easily have gone the other way. For me, heading into Deep Nest, on a Wing Seed, it's kind of difficult to say. I could see going in there just to get Trampas and possibly coming back. I would probably show my hand at the Dark Room once or twice, but in general, Clawless Dark Rooms are inconsistent. So I wouldn't spend too much trying to get to Weaver's Den, though it definitely would be possible. We had 2 early items in Deep Nest, another at Hive Blood. It's not significantly worse than Crystal Peak anymore. After the Geochest is added into the pool and such. It's certainly not the best area by any stretch of the imagination, but Deep Nest almost always has good goal filling from bingo cards, so I tend to be very pro early Deep Nest plays. I suppose it's also worth noting that I don't believe either runner has checked Spore Shirt at this point, which, who knows whether Spore Shroom is anything, but, that's an early item they kind of abandoned. Okay, we're getting some weird pitch shifting on DFT's end. Oh, this is interesting. Is he about to revisit Soulcatcher? I would think. Obviously, I didn't see the early too much, but Yeah, I thought they got a chance to check about their spells. Yeah, early Deep Nest is really, really good when you have Claw and Dash, because that makes the Dark Rooms really fast, really consistent, and you can check all your items right at once. Wings, I still like to go for it. It's a good bit harder. I'm not good at the Wings Dark Room, but you don't need wings for most of the bingo goals anyways. Right. Sorry. You don't need dark rooms for most of the bingo goals anyways. Okay. Let's see, DFT has 10 grubs. We will see what is that grub song. It won't be Mantis Claw, but it could be something good. It was not something good. It was something bad. It was 380 Geo, and they do not need Geo at all. Well, if you have wings, the entrance after Spore Shroom is the only entrance you can use to enter Deep Nest. I suppose the Queen's Garden entrance is also possible, but it's you almost never see it in Rando. It's not good. The Mantis Lord entrance is also very rare to see. It requires Claw, and it's slow. Yeah, like an important thing to keep in mind with Deep Nest as an area is that the Hot Springs bench is a very useful hub. Like, if I'm entering Deep Nest, I'm going to want to bench at the Hot Spring, get Tram Pass, go to Weaver's Den, and exit Deep Nest through the tram. Almost always. I might not tram straight to the Hive afterwards, but yeah, like, if I don't tram, then I'm going to be exiting through Distance Station. But the Spore Shroom entrance puts you really close to that bench, which is really nice. And a big consideration I would make. It's also worth noting that Queen's Garden is atrocious without Claw. All doable, but because you have to quit out after the first arena, it ends up becoming much, much slower than it would be in, your typical routing to get to Distance Station as fast as possible. Yeah, so Mick discovering exactly how awful Soul Sanctum managed to be this race. Meanwhile, DFT is going to show us that good old-fashioned Spore Shroom Shade Skip. Finally find out what's over here, I believe. Fake dives are incredibly hard with, I believe, a pixel perfect position. Yeah, DFT doesn't quite know the shade position for this skip. You want to pogo it before it comes out from under the overhang. Waiting afterwards will bring it usually all the way to its leash. Kind of unfortunate that he killed his shade there. This is a soft lock. They'll have to return. Oh wait, I'm sorry. Weird. It must be because he has his Visteer, that the hazard respawn down there gets removed. Or maybe he just didn't move far enough right into it. But anyways, Great Slash would be a very nice find for DFT if he hadn't given up those goals in 2 and 3. Like, at this stage, he's just kind of he's spinning his wheels. He can't steal anything from Mick. He has very limited opportunities to even mark stuff in his own territory. As it is, I would really say I don't see any path to DFT marking that Great Slash goal unless Dream Nail is the next item he finds. Even then, Mick doesn't seem to be headed towards waterways, which means we're probably about to see a Deepness play out of Mick too. Or possibly going to buy another simple key, I suppose. Okay, DFT making his way towards Weaver's Den, going to show us what those two items are. This could be his lifeline, though he does kind of have to be careful because the instinct here is to immediately mark Galleon, which of course would give away Dream Nail position if it is here. Mick didn't freeze, did he? Yep, the particles are moving. I think Mick is weighing his options right now. The particles are definitely moving in the background of the stream, so he might be considering what goal to go for next. He does have a few options here. That is unfortunate for DFT. That also means that Mantis Claw is probably in Waterways or Hive, right? Crystal Heart also wasn't checked. I can't think of anything else. Hive would be very good. I would be pleased by that, because that would very strongly vindicate me calling for the early Dream Pass play. Now, of course, if one of our runners so wanted, they could go back to Leg Eater, buy Fragile Heart, buy a full mask from Sly, and sequence break into Howling Cliffs. Because I think we all know that Dream Nail and Dreamgate are in Howling Cliffs right now. And anyone who's waiting for Mantis Claw is just eluding themselves. That's what I think. But we'll see. Interesting to see Mick very possibly having. Oh wait, I'm sorry. I mixed up Mick and DFT for reasons very much unknown. But Mick is heading towards Fungal Waste, but it's gonna take him a bit of time to get there. Meanwhile, DFT about to. Yeah, it's right above Boulder Shell. The Howling Cliff skip is. I really dislike this play by DFT. In fact, I really can't say how much I dislike it enough, because number one, he can't get back up. He'll have to go all the way around to get back to Trampas. Number two, there really isn't a chance in hell he marks Coliseum Zote at any point in the remote future. He doesn't need Geo. He's losing time, which he could be using to check items. And sorry, DFT, you need Mantis Claw to go up that way. Yeah, I don't like this. It only loses about a minute, so it's not life-ending, but it's kind of an example of the small-scale optimizations that can cost you a lot of time when you're not focused on where you want your routing to take you. Like, Mick still has very real possibility of sniping DFT on the Trampas skull if DFT doesn't rush up to the resting grounds tram station. Opts to stay down here in Hive or something like that. And even if Mick doesn't opt to snipe DFT, he's getting a chance to catch up in item checks right here with the Howling Grace check. Sorry. DFT is ahead in a certain sense on the item agenda, because the items he's checked, Mick will check, whereas the items Mick has checked, DFT knows or should know not to check. It should be clear that Mick did not find Claw or Dreamnail in Claw or Dreamnail in Kingdom's Edge or the Abyss, so DFT should know to steer clear of those. Really should be making the Hive play, the Isma play, the one-offs which Mick clearly hasn't checked, and give him a window into this race, albeit a very small one. Yeah, unfortunately, I feel like a lot of this race was decided by some unfortunate item placements for DFT, missing Quick Slash in Resting Grounds and Descending Dark in Kingdom's Edge, which were two goals he really did need for his board position. A lot of it, though, has been, I guess what I would say is unfocused routing. Like, stuff like this. Right here, right now, on stream. I don't want to be too harsh here, but Nail 3 is not a goal he needs to go for right now. He needs to be taking goals away from Mick before Mick seals off the middle of the board forever. And, like, yeah, that's only a minute to go grab it now, whereas it would be, you know, a minute and a half to come from King Station. But that's the kind of time you don't have when all your item checks have turned out nothing so far. You really have to double down and hope that the next one is Dream Nail and Mick never finds it, I think. And DFT is really fortunate right now because Mick is wasting a lot of time on bad item checks that DFT made earlier in the race. Though less time than DFT because Mick does have Crystal Heart. Okay, we are going to see a Hive play out of DFT. I think that's really good to see. I don't think it's enough to save him necessarily, but with the way Mick is routing, I kind of expect to see Mantis Lords before Hive. And if that's the case, it could take him, maybe 20 minutes or so to get there, depending on how DFT reveals his cards. And if it isn't in Hive, DFT really needs to go straight to DFTzzz. I don't know how confident he is in the Spike Tunnel, if he even knows the Spike Tunnel, but I think that DFTzzz is the yes, there are only 2 trams in the game, 5 stations between them. The upper tram between Crossroads and Resting Grounds, the lower one between Deep Nest, Ancient Basin, and Kingdom's Edge. What I was going to say is I think that DFTzzz tier is likely to be the last item checked by both racers, simply because it is an extremely annoying item to get to without Mantis Claw, given how much more difficult the Spike Tunnels can be. Mick will have a much easier time getting back to Crystal Heart than he did before, because he does have Crystal Heart itself to make things much faster. Okay, DFT survives the Hive with full health going into the Hive Night fight. Meanwhile, Mick is making his descent into Deep Nest. Not fooled by the Mantis Lord bounty. Mick is probably also getting a little antsy on these DFT goals. Feels like, if DFT is never going to mark them, then at the very least he can get some progress himself into it. Garbage at Shape of Un. Garbage at Shape of Un. Shape of Un was Shade Soul, which was not garbage. Ooh, and excruciating death for DFT. Things were going pretty decently early on, but he lost track of it. Didn't use his stuns wisely to heal. And ends up losing a few minutes as a result. Yeah, kind of painful to see because there just isn't room to recover from mistakes like that at this point. Like, it's kind of not great to watch because, like, it feels like it's going to take miracles for this to even be 13-6 at the end. Like, he needs a he needs this card to suddenly be a complete reversal in terms of its generosity so far. Yeah, DFT had done a really nice job with that hive, so really unfortunate to see it end where it did. Oh, odd. Did Mick not check? Or... oh no, I see. Mick got Great Slash, but he can't mark it yet. He probably could by shade skipping doing the Elderbug side quest, but not necessary at this point. Definitely not a priority. His win condition is really Dream Nail. Wherever it is, he needs to find it, and it'll pretty much seal this card for him. Okay, DFT. Let's play a little bit more cautiously. Don't touch that shriek button. Oh, be careful, DFT. He's losing a lot of health right now. This is a very interesting choice by Mick. I don't remember if he saved down here at the bench. No, he must have, since he checked Sharp Shadow. It's really not saving time backtracking out of Dream Pass, and that is horrible for DFT. I believe that limits us to Isma's and Crystal Heart as the remaining unchecked locations. I don't know if they ever fixed the progression issue, but if Nailmaster's Glory has been updated to be able to be a progression item, that is also accessible at the moment. I really do expect both D-Nail upgrades are blocked by Claw. There are, I believe, 4 items turret accessible blocked by Claw at the moment. Being Great Slash, the Crystal Peak chest, and the 2 items in Howling Cliffs. Oh, and this is a mistake by DFT. He cannot climb up this room, no matter what he does. He can't even shade skip in it. He is going to have to save quit back to the tram and go up the Kingdom's Edge route. I would not be surprised if DFT is tilted at this point. This is a brutal card, a brutal seed. Nothing has gone his way. Meanwhile, we'll have to see what Mick does. As I mentioned before, and as we see right now, if Mick wants to, he can take that tram pass goal right now by just outrushing DFT. On the other hand, Mick might decide he wants to check the hive, and he'd be in effect giving that up. It'll also be interesting to see whether DFT feels like he wants to guarantee he gets that second goal in before Mick finishes, goes to the Coliseum Hot Spring, gets a tram goal, stuff like that, or if he is still trying to get the item advantage he needs to win here. This is interesting. I'm not sure what DFT is doing. Maybe he's looking at a map. If he continues to the right, he can get back to King Station very easily. He cannot go up and to the left to get to his Mystier. That route is not possible without Mantis Claw. Yep, off he goes right there. He is not tempted by the Kingdom's Edge items. I say, but he is heading up. I think he's going to go for the hot springs. Yep, that does appear to be what he's doing. Definitely a defensible choice. Though I have to say, it feels to me like he's giving up all hope at this point and just trying to pad the score a little bit. I don't know, that's not a very charitable thing to say, but there is definitely no path to winning in this Coliseum visit. Of course, he might be just as confused with what's going on Mick's end, because Mick hasn't marked a goal in quite a bit now, maybe approaching half an hour. No, he cannot get the Pale Lurker goal. That is claw blocked. He can't even set a bench here because the bench will not save without Mantis Claw. Yep, he can get up here, he can drop down there, but he can't get up again to get to Pale Lurker. This is game knowledge. Oh, and he gives up on it. That's kind of odd because he can't do anything by backtracking here. He can't get back up to Kahlo if he wanted to do Kahlo's Hope for some interminable reason. That bench did not save just now. If it did save, for whatever reason, it would lock his seed. He would not be able to escape this area. Yes, this is despair, I believe. There's a King's Idol. Thanks for playing, but there is no path back up there. As it is, Claw blocks much more in terms of bingo goals than it does randomized items. Only 2 items are completely inaccessible without Mantis Claw. Um, whereas a really unfortunate number of goals. Oh, that's interesting. Maybe Sean added a platform in there for you to escape or something. Yeah, DFT is mega tilted right now. He clearly thought that he could get 2 goals up here, and you know, he can't get any other than the hot springs. Oh, you know what it is? Sean added the suction to the vertical transitions. That's what it is. I think that's what it is. Yeah. Yeah, the way it zooms you up, I believe that that is a randomizer change. I could be mistaken. Definitely on 1221 it was a soft lock if you benched in Coliseum. But it's not a big deal because all bad benches have been fixed in randomizer. If there is a bench which you can't escape from, such as Ancestral Basin bench without Tram Pass, it will not save your position to it. Meanwhile, we do see Mick is heading back towards Crystal Heart. I have to say I'm kind of curious because if he wanted to, he could go get the 2 tram stations right now and it would take like less than a minute and he would have that goal. This might be him forgetting, it might be him trying to be charitable to DFT. I don't know. Best not to read too much into it. And now DFT does something entirely inexplicable. He has to know that Mick has been here and checked these items. The only thing waiting for him is heartbreak when he discovers that Descending Dark was in such an easy accessible location as it was. Oh, you know what? I was mistaken actually when I said that we had narrowed it down. There are 2 items which were not on the list I mentioned earlier. As far as I am aware, Fluke Nest and Defender's Crest have not been checked. Like, how? Even? I mean, those are absurdly fast at this point compared to the one-offs available. Dreamwielder is not the one. Not what Mick wanted to see, but what can you do? Yeah, I think we're going to see Fluke Marmir, and that's why he's going for a DPS build. Or we'll see maybe Ismas with Hive Blood. It's hard to say. What we can say is that trams are not on Mick's radar. He might not have even realized that that's a goal, I guess, but it's definitely strange. It's also not on DFT's radar, but I think it's safe to say DFT is tilted at this point and may not be making the best decisions. Yeah, this is definitely the Waterways play. The nice thing about doing Waterways is if he takes the bench while he's in there, Um, then after Dung Defender, he can save quit, go back in, and do Ismas without having to do the Spike Tunnel, since he does have Crystal Heart. Okay, this has to be the tram play. I refuse to believe this is anything else. Okay, Fluke Farm pretty much trivialized by Abyss Shriek. It goes down to 3 streaks. Not much to say, not really a boss fight at that point. There is a Dream Nail. I do believe that that is enough for Mick to win. I don't think he needs Claw, though he may decide to check for it anyways. I mean, he kind of is in a spot where he has to check Dung Defender to escape anyways. So, yeah, he might as well. Don't know if there's any point to checking Ismos though. I guess the Militia goal is tempting, but I mean, you have 500 Essence, which is also there and doesn't require Claw. I don't know how much you could really say that one runner or the other had a prerogative to check waterways in this seed. The only thing I could really say is that DFT might have possibly been able to capitalize on the information that Mick had used a simple key to open Gigi's hut, and so it would be harder for Mick to enter waterways. Of course, both players have been swimming in Geo all seed, so that really isn't true. Waterways just wasn't really ever influential, I think, or a place where you would look at and think, that has the density or the goals I need to get right now. And I think both players were really focused on density for most of the seed. And there is Mantis Claw. So, if you thought that the race hadn't been sealed by the Dream Nail find, well, that really does put an end to it. Yeah, and once Mick makes his way, probably starting with the Parry Revic goal, he'll mark Great Slash immediately afterwards. DFT will probably be about ready to throw in the towel. Interesting. Mick is not going to go for Burying Revic. He's going to get the Stag Vessel Fragment. Oh, I guess that is fair. He doesn't have 200 Essence yet. So that goal actually wouldn't be possible immediately. and it's also rather inconsistent due to the difficulty of actually parrying Repic in the first place. Excuse me. It is worth noting that if Mick wanted, he could have gotten this without finding Mantis Claw or Dreamnail. The Stag Nestle. Let me say that again. The Stag Nest Vessel Shard was in his wheelhouse almost from the beginning of the seed. I find it very questionable that he's checking items. There is the possibility of finding Dreamgate. It's not awful, considering I believe he's down to, I'm tempted to say, 4 checks at this point. I don't know if it's faster than just going to Galleon though. You know? Maybe. Yeah, definitely don't expect to see a play tour where it's I don't know what I was going to say. I think that was completely filler. But anyways, Mick, after getting this, all he needs is another goal in each column and he'll be done. And I think that he has a pretty easy path towards it with Dreamnail. He is going to check Joni's Blessing. He has Lantern, so it's fast enough. And probably would save time if it were Dreamgate. My feeling though is that, like, if he checks Great Slash and the Crystal Peak chest after this, and neither of them are Dreamgate, and he goes to Isvastir to get Dreamgate there, then that would probably take longer than just killing one of the 2 Dream Warriors in the 3rd column. Just a thought though. Yep, that's unfortunate for DFT. Little does he know that there isn't anything up here for him. At best, he'll find Shade Cloak. That'll lead him to Crystal Heart. Maybe. But there doesn't seem to be anything to steer him to Waterways. And even if he got there, he has really no way to stop Mick at this point. This is maybe 20 minutes from here on out, possibly even less, depending on how efficient Mick is. But should be very straightforward. He does head to King Station next. Yes, presumably to save the 5 grubs. There was one which was inaccessible, which is the one in next to Watcher Knights. I don't know if he got the one in Soul Sanctum while he was there. That could be a decently long revisit if he didn't. Oh, interesting. I wonder if he ever did check Grubsong. I don't think he did, but that's a pretty fast check. Only reason why I mention it is because that lowers the expected value of his checks at this point even more, knowing that he has that check still on the table. Okay, DFT is going to give Deep Focus another try. For those who are wondering, Crystal Heart was at Shade Cloak, which I believe has, and I believe that Shade Cloak itself was blocked by, or Shade Cloak itself is at Deep Focus, which means that the only way for DFT to escape this vicious cycle and get Crystal Heart is to go get Claw at Dung Defender. Okay, DFT's farming soul. Mick, meanwhile, is gonna kill Zero. Probably go straight back and go talk to Revik. Ooh, DFT took a good bit of damage on his way back to this room. Does not bode well for the next attempt. And yes, DFT is tilting his camera to show us how tilted he is at the horrors this seed has inflicted upon him. Okay, let's see how much Mick has practiced his parrying skills. Not very well. There's one parry. Two. And that was no parry. We are going to see a round 2 of Mick versus Revik. Meanwhile, Mick equips his DPS tank build for optimal Revik parrying. And DFT has yet another tragic deep focus death. Parrying Revik 3 times in a row is very difficult. I do not like this goal. I'm not good at it. Alright. That is 3. Mick is done with that. I believe just 2 to go. We'll see what he opts to go for. I kind of like doing an ISMA check with a militia right now. That seems really efficient to me. I'm not sure where he's going right now. Oh, he's going to do Elderbug, I guess. Oh, did he not save the 5 rooms, I guess? I didn't realize. I thought he had marked that while he was down there. DFT finally reaches that item, gets his Shade Cloak. Probably he is going to do something he will greatly regret and rush for Sharp Shadow now. Or maybe he'll go for Crystal Heart first. Neither is really the call here. He does not appear to be going for Crystal Heart. I think he's going to bail. Possibly at great cost now. Oh, well, never mind, never mind. He didn't open the gate on the other side. My bad. Was, I believe, an hour or so ago that the two of them showed up to Crystal Peak? Maybe more, so I forgot. Or it could be something completely different. I have bad news for you, DFT. This is possible without Mantis Claw, I believe, but it is not very feasible. Claw is at Defender's Crest. Dreamnail, or the copy of Dreamnail that we found, is at Fluke Nest. Yeah, as I thought. You could definitely shade skip this, probably even ride the, well, they have a name, I don't remember it. But, really slow and annoying to get this Pale Orb without Claw. No, neither runner went to Water Waves. Mick only visited probably around the 2-hour mark. And so for that reason, what could have been a very fast seed has instead been very slow. Both runners made really interesting decision early on to go Crystal Peak into Soul Sanctum, even though neither of them had goals which would really synergize with that. I was fairly skeptical of that decision. I thought DFT should go to Deep Nest early on. Deep Nest was empty, of course, but, you know, what can you say? I'm sorry? Is that what Elderbug says? Oh, and 5, 4, and 4, that is GG, isn't it? I like going to Deep Nest Scurry. But whether I like going to Deep Nest or not is not relevant because we do have a winner. Congratulations to Mickely. And we have the immediate rage quit out of DFT. Wow. Wow. Not too much to say from that, huh? Mickely wins fairly handily, 13-3. Um, really, really brutal seed for DFT. None of the randomized goals went his way, and in the end, I think Mick got off to such an early lead that DFT couldn't really have caught up even if he had been the first one to find Mantis Claw. Either way, it was an uphill battle, and uh, for Mick's part, he had a really good strategy. Multiple times where he was able to mark 3 goals at a time because uh, of how he routed. And he took a lot of goals which would have been very favorable to DFT if DFT could have gotten them. As to Scurry's question in chat, I I know that Mick was the first one to mark rates. I think it's fair to assume that he was probably the first one to collect rates. I was not able to watch the first 15 to 20 minutes of the race though, because um, uh, yeah, I wasn't able to watch the race because I was working on audio stuff early on. Let's see. Well, I might jump in to the race channel, ask Mick what he thought about the seed. DFT appears to be AFK, considering the rage quit earlier. Um, let's see. Let's see. Let me ask. Um, but yeah, DFT is now in AFK. His stream is offline. Okay. How's it going? How is the seed?
Oh, hey. Let me turn off push to talk really quick.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. That was interesting.
That was really interesting. I'm sure you can guess from DFT, but neither of you had any inclination towards waterways. Still, you went there around the 2 hour mark, I believe. So what?
Yeah, I didn't have very many checks left, which is kind of why I went there.
Mhm.
I had that and Mantis Lords left, and that was it.
And
So
Ismasteer as well, I believe.
I don't think I could have. Can I get there without Claw coming from the left from the
Yeah.
spike tunnel?
Uh-huh.
Without Isma's as well?
With oh, let me. No, you're muted on my end. But with Ismasteer, Wings, and Crystal Heart, yeah, you
I
could
didn't have
definitely make it.
Isma's though, so
Oh, well, that's because Deer was at Mark of Pride.
so I would have found it if I would have gone there next. But yeah,
Yeah, I forgot that you didn't have that actually. I'm sorry, but yeah, DFT checked Mantis Lords very early on. Um, it had Isthmus Deer, something else which wasn't good. Shape of On was Shade Soul.
okay.
So nice stuff, but in the end, it was nothing of the sort that he needed
No,
to get an advantage.
I think that was kind of his downfall because as soon as I found Wings there, um, well, after checking everything except for Fungal and then Fluke Marm, I was setting myself up in case it was a Fluke Marm seed. and then it ended up not being one because Wings was at Dashmaster.
Yeah.
But after I found Wings there, I felt a little bit better about that early like triple snipe that I had.
Hmm.
Um, because I knew Quick Slash and Fluke Nest were both available to him. But after finding Wings there, he was far more likely to stay on the left side of the board or stay on the left side of the world and
Right.
not go over to Dreamnail. So
Yeah, he
that
was.
made me feel a little bit better and gave me a shot to get Broken Vessel early.
Yeah, he was very late to resting grounds, like you thought. In fact, I think he even checked Shape of Un and Howling Race before he got over there. Uh, so that definitely slowed him down. And then, really, I was kind of surprised by this, but during the mid game, both of you pretty much followed the same route of going to Crystal Peak and going to Soul Sanctum and full clearing both areas, or
Really?
trying to full clear both areas. Uh,
Did he bail on the Crystal Heart thing like I did?
he bailed a little bit earlier out of Deep Focus, which also kind of hurt him since he didn't get Shade Cloak till right about when you were finishing off the card.
Yeah.
But yeah, both of you were in Crystal Peak at the same time.
Interesting.
Uh, of course, you ended up bailing out of there. I think that the Abyss play you made was um, probably one of the cooler opportunities this card afforded to line up those three goals the way you did.
Yeah, it
Um,
kind of fell into my lap, to be honest.
yeah, Descending Dark was in a really fortunate location for you, and
Yeah.
an absolutely awful one for DFT, of course, but because it was right on the way to Abyss, where you wanted to go anyways to get that arcane egg.
Right.
Uh,
And I knew, I mean, Wanderer's Journals, I could have got the last couple at any time, and obviously I did, but
yeah,
yeah, because I already had Shade Cloak, and I was like, well, may as well just check everything in Kingdom's Edge, then go to the Abyss and get that goal that I can. Yeah.
mhm.
Then the other two goals just fell in my lap.
Yeah. So I thought that was really cool. As it was, the two of you really stuck together the whole way through. DFT ended up in Deep Nest maybe 5 minutes ahead of you. Um,
Hmm.
then both of you went to Hive. Um, then in the end, when you broke off to do your revisit to Crystal Peak and then the Waterways, that was when he went and got those last two goals in Coliseum and the tram.
Sure.
So I guess that was that.
Interesting.
Um, really interesting the whole way through, though. Uh, I guess Jet was calling it pretty early with the huge lead, of course. Um,
Well, and part of
early
that
lead,
too.
yeah. Uh,
What's that?
or I'll let you say what you were going to say first.
So part of that came down to side selection really early. And after looking at the board, both left and right side had some pretty easy goals on their home row, but the second row in column 4 was far easier than column 2, and
Absolutely.
I kind of decided within the first 3 minutes that I was going to go right side if I could, and then Howling Wraiths just happened to be super early, and so I grabbed that and marked it immediately because I wanted that side.
Yep, that was actually what I was going to say. Column two was really devastating, with um, every goal having at least some level of randomization, and then
Hmm.
uh, the two which were most accessible just didn't go DFT's way, and without those, uh, and I guess really the whole thing probably could have been turned around if he'd happened to visit Waterways at the 40-minute mark, but who would, right? Yeah, there's
I almost did.
no
So
goals, really.
I almost did. When I came down that elevator next to Lem,
Uh huh.
after Soul Sanctum, I almost dropped down into Waterways and was gonna full clear it, but then I
Wow.
just decided not to and went to Kingdom's Edge and
Imagine how
did all that
different.
stuff.
Imagine how different this could have been. Probably could have almost been a 90-minute seed for you if you
It
had checked
probably
it at
could
that
have,
point.
and I can only imagine too how much differently this seed would have played out if DFT had gone to resting grounds just a little bit earlier. Because I mean, those two goals, Quick Slash and Fluke Nest, were totally available to him. It
Yeah,
just
absolutely. And it was really just a case of being pinned uh, for almost all of the race in his first column. Whereas if he could have gotten across the middle, definitely would have been a thorn in your side to a much greater degree.
oh for
Uh,
sure, and it could have happened in the first 10 minutes. It's
yeah,
just so happened that he didn't go there.
it's,
So
it really was a toss up in early game routing because uh, those items were really unusually early to have Wraiths and Quick Slash and Fluke Nest all, I think, within your Sphere Zero items.
yeah.
That Descending Dark, barely outside it. It's also really interesting to me that neither of you got to that Spore Shroom spot with Great Slash till really late in the seed. I sort of called early on that DFT would make an earlier Deep Nest play, but I don't know.
I thought he would too, with the hot springs and the tram pass goal both being on his side.
Yeah, I
I
sort
thought he would have gone there far earlier.
I think in the end he felt like he needed to go for density to get Claw or Dreamnail advantage. That that would be his only path to winning anyways. So that's probably what both of you were thinking, which led both of you to go to those really rich areas in Seabeak and Soul Sanctum. But
Yeah. Plus, I had the Grubs goal there, so I was gonna go to City of Tears regardless. But
right,
I mean, there were so many claw blocked goals that we kind of and Dreamnail too. I didn't find Dreamnail for forever.
yeah. Who even knows where the other copy was?
It had to have been claw locked, so I mean, it could have been anywhere
Or
after
is
that.
or Isma. I think the locations which weren't checked were the Sea Peak chest, the Watcher Knight chest, Isma's tier. That might be it.
Great
Um,
Slash, I couldn't go there.
oh yeah, Great Slash also wasn't checked. Yeah, those four. Um, so yeah, Dreamgate was in one of those. Though I think that doing the few checks you did and then failing for Flower Quest was probably the best option.
Plus,
Um,
the style points of ending with Elderbug.
yeah, that I actually have never seen that dialogue change. I'm pretty sure I've done Elderbug in Rando, but I guess I just smashed through it. So
I
what
think
can
it's
you do?
pretty new. And also the title screen when you first come to Dirtmouth is Elderbug is a cool dude. I
Yep,
don't know if you've noticed that too.
that was I think when Sean added in all the GeoGests was when he made that. It's fairly recent,
Yeah, so that's probably when he added the Elderbug text as well. But
probably.
it's pretty rare to do this quest anyway. So
Yeah, I mean it's only one goal out of so many, and it's not a very accessible one either, with dive and claw requirements, or
right.
I believe a shade skip too. Um, well, anyways, it was a good race to watch and a lot of interesting stuff happening with the routing, I think.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Um, yeah, any final thoughts before we close out the stream?
I don't have any. No.
All right, then. Well,
More races this week.
that's right.
Keep your eyes on the Hollow Knight Speedruns channel.
Round three coming soon. And round
Mm-hmm.
two, too, I guess. It looks
Yep.
like we have completely finished Group A for round two. We have not begun Group B. So uh, I think some people need to get on with things, but we'll be seeing those three matches this weekend. And 5 more weeks of group stages after it.
Yep. We've been going through them fairly quickly though. I mean, it
Yeah,
doesn't feel stale yet, or like I don't know. We're only in week 2, but
no, I like the pacing of it. Having 6 matches a week it gives enough space between each match for each match to receive the attention it deserves.
Mm-hmm.
And also, it would be really hard to do these 2+ hour matches back to back to back
Right.
on
I think,
anyone.
yeah. I think once we're in bracket stage and there's, whatever, maybe 6 matches total in a week, we can get 3 one day, 3 the other. It'd be a couple long days, but you know.
Yeah, it would be cool to do the bracket in a really tournament feel all at once sort of way. But
Mm-hmm.
with group stages, we can afford to be a little bit more flexible and stretch it out over the course of the week.
Right.
Alrighty then. Well, I'll shut down the stream. Uh, thanks everyone for hanging out on Hollow Knight speedruns.
See ya.
See ya.